this is not just the story of a president. It's the story of a soldier, a son, a survivor. A man who walked through betrayal, war, and blood to rise from the ashes of a broken nation. The story of how one of the youngest leaders in the world emerged from the shadows with one mission, to save Burkina Faso. But behind the headlines lies a story you were never told. Long before the military uniform, long before the international headlines, there was a boy. Ibrahim Traoré was born in 1988 in Bondakwi, a small, sun-baked town in western Burkina Faso. His father was a schoolteacher. His mother, a devout Muslim, ran a modest household with stern love and silent prayers. Young Ibrahim wasn't like the other boys. While others played in the dirt roads, he sat alone, eyes scanning the horizon, always thinking. He watched the men in uniform who patrolled nearby towns, his gaze lingering just a second too long. He didn't want to be them, not yet. He just wanted to understand the power they held. But it wasn't long before tragedy struck. When he was 12, Ibrahim's older brother, Hamidou, disappeared. Officially, it was labeled a rebel ambush. But whispers in the village said otherwise, that Hamidou was executed by his own comrades, betrayed during a covert operation gone wrong. That single act of treachery shattered the Traoré family. His mother never smiled again. That was the moment something broke inside Ibrahim. The child was gone. In his place stood a boy with a mission. Ibrahim enrolled at the University of Ouagadougou to study geology. But the call to serve, to protect, to punish, was louder. In 2010, he joined the army. His rise was swift. Too swift. By 2014, he had made enemies in high places. Some accused him of insubordination. Others said he asked too many questions. But the truth? He refused bribes. He exposed a senior officer linked to illegal arms sales, and almost got himself killed in the process. One night, while stationed in the volatile north, Traoré's unit was ambushed. 7 men died. Official reports claimed it was jihadists. But Ibrahim knew better. The bullets came from government-issue rifles. Someone had sent them there to die. He survived, barely, dragged out by a wounded comrade who later died in his arms. That night, Ibrahim made a silent vow: he would purge the rot from within. By 2022, Burkina Faso was in crisis. The previous coup had failed to deliver security. Jihadist attacks were rising. Citizens were angry. Soldiers were dying. And the man in charge, Lieutenant Colonel Damiba, had lost the troops' trust. In the shadows, whispers of change began to echo through the barracks. Ibrahim, then a captain in the elite Cobra unit, became the face of this whisper. Quietly respected. Fiercely loyal to the people. He never sought power. But power came seeking him. On September 30th, 2022, the storm broke. Gunfire erupted in Ouagadougou. Government channels went silent. The streets were locked down. Rumors flew. By morning, the world woke to a stunning headline: Captain Ibrahim Traoré had taken power. But few knew the cost. Behind closed doors, Ibrahim's closest friend, Captain Saliou, had betrayed him that same night. Secretly loyal to Damiba, Saliou had attempted to smuggle intelligence to the old regime. Ibrahim found out, and made a choice that would haunt him forever. He confronted Saliou, man to man, in a darkened corridor. "You knew what this would mean," Ibrahim said quietly. Saliou didn't beg. He just looked away. A single shot echoed. And Ibrahim never spoke of it again. At just 34, Ibrahim became the world's youngest head of state. But there was no celebration. Burkina Faso was bleeding. Villages were under siege. Foreign powers circled like vultures. France, the UN, the African Union. All watching, judging, waiting. But Traoré did something no one expected. He expelled French troops from the country. He refused Western military aid. He said, "Let the people defend their land." Critics called him a puppet of Russia. Others accused him of dictatorship. But in the countryside, among the farmers and fighters, he was a symbol, a warrior president. He launched a People's Brigade, civilians trained to protect their villages. He visited front lines in secret, eating with soldiers, sleeping under the stars. And slowly, the tide began to turn. Jihadist attacks dropped. Territory was reclaimed. But victory came at a price. In January 2023, an assassination plot was uncovered, orchestrated by a coalition of former generals and a foreign intelligence asset. One of the plotters was Ibrahim's own cousin, a man he had once protected. The betrayal cut deep. Ibrahim ordered no execution, just exile. In a secret letter leaked weeks later, he wrote, "I was betrayed not by enemies, but by blood. But let the world know, I forgive. I do not forget." What the public never knew was that during all this time, Ibrahim was carrying another burden. His mother, Aissata, had been diagnosed with advanced liver failure. She refused treatment, refused to leave Bondakwi. She said, "My son has a nation to heal. I will not distract him." But Ibrahim visited her in secret, dressed as a common traveler. No security. No convoy. Just a son, kneeling by his mother's side, whispering verses from the Quran as she faded. She died on the eve of Independence Day, July 2023. The nation celebrated. Ibrahim wept, alone, in a darkened room. He wore no uniform that day. Just a white robe and a ring she had given him as a boy. They say that night, he walked barefoot through the presidential garden, lost in thought. The next morning, he announced a new national project, the Aissata Plan, free healthcare for all children under 5 and rural women. The nation was stunned. Foreign critics were silenced. Burkina Faso had not just found a president, but a father. In late 2024, a massive jihadist offensive surged across the east. Entire towns were targeted. Panic returned. But Traoré refused to flee to safety. Instead, he joined the front lines. Drone footage later leaked showed a man in camo, rifle slung over his shoulder, leading a battalion of young soldiers into the forests of Kamanjari. It wasn't propaganda. It was real. The battle lasted 48 hours. No sleep. No backup. In the end, the insurgents were pushed back, defeated by a mix of civilian fighters, loyalist soldiers, and one determined president. When Ibrahim returned to Ouagadougou, 200,000 people lined the streets. They called him the Iron Son of Faso. As of 2025, Ibrahim Traoré is still president. Still unmarried. Still refusing presidential luxuries. He lives in the old barracks, eats with soldiers, and answers only to one thing, the cries of his people. There are whispers that he may step down after stabilizing the country. That he never wanted power, only justice. But those who know him best say one thing. Ibrahim was never chasing power. He was chasing peace. And in a land scarred by war and betrayal, maybe that's the rarest kind of victory. In a world of broken promises and lost leaders, one man rose not by ambition, but by sacrifice. From the dusty roads of Bondakwi to the blood-stained fields of Kamanjari, Ibrahim Traoré's story isn't just about power. It's about pain, purpose, and the promise of something better. This was the true story of a soldier, a son, and the president who refused to vanish. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more stories the media won't tell you.